Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Janelle Slade. In just seconds, Montana Governor Steve Bullock plans to address the state. Now, that press call will come out of Helena. He'll talk about the latest on what's being done statewide in response to the coronavirus. Now, before we go there, a quick update. As you know, the COVID-19 situation changes by the minute. The latest numbers as of right now across Montana stand at 46. That latest case reported this morning out of Silverbow County. Now, we do expect an update this afternoon around 4:30. Now, so far, more than 1,600 people have been tested in Montana and no deaths have been reported. Let's look at nationally. The total number of cases jumped to more than 51,674. Of those people have died. That's according to the Johns Hopkins Coronavirus Resource Center. Now, the World Health Organization says this pandemic is not showing signs of slowing down. Now, we can't remind you enough to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. Keep that 6 feet distance, social distancing. Continuously wash your hands and clean off all surfaces. Are we going to the governor? It appears Governor Steve Bullock is now ready to address the state as we go live to the state capitol in Helena.
Hello, please enter your 6-digit conference.
Okay, we'll get back there in just a moment. We have another update tonight. Yellowstone and Glacier National Parks have both been shut down effective immediately. The parks are closed to all visitors until further notice. Now, the roadways and highways within the park that support commerce will stay open, so the trucks will be able to get through there. Now, this comes after health officials from counties surrounding Yellowstone National Park asked that the park be closed. Now, county leaders asked that because of the move would reduce non-local traffic and potential stress on local health systems and less people gathering in large areas. Now, obviously, this video shows a lot of people. This is not what it looks like in Yellowstone National Park or Glacier National Park today. A lot less people there. Now, Governor Steve Bullock will be reporting live from Helena in just a moment to address the state on the very latest of what's going on here in Montana. The latest number of cases, 46 cases across Montana. 1,689 people have been tested so far. Now, the national numbers, take a look. 51,542 cases reported so far. Total deaths, 674. It's quite shattering. We're expecting that the governor will address school closures across Montana today. We're expecting that. We do not know that. We received a press release earlier this morning that he would be reaching out to the state, a press call to provide updates and announce additional directives on Montana's response to COVID-19. Now, we know that just a couple weeks ago, or not quite 2 weeks ago, Governor Bullock closed down all the states across the state. And we know that by Friday that would be lifted, so we will be able to find out today. So, Governor Steve Bullock from Helena. Okay, I'm hearing they're still not quite ready yet.
Please enter your postcode or press star to join the conference.
They're dialing in. You can hear that reporters across the state are dialing in to the governor there in Helena. The latest update on coronavirus, COVID-19, that situation here in Montana. We expect him to address the state of public schools across Montana this afternoon. Those cases so far in Montana, 46 today. As of today, the latest one this morning out of Silverbow County, taking that
There's
number to
no
46.
way then? But if...
Oh, they're going to the governor?
But they're all on the call right now.
Yeah, obviously we're on live TV, so things are fluid.
Yeah, I mean, if-
like this. The governor going to address the state of Montana. We're not exactly sure what he's going to address, but we are thinking he will address the state of Montana's public schools.
I mean, we've got, they presumably have questions. I don't think we can just shut them down, can we?
Okay, I'm not really sure. As you
I'm
can
sorry.
see, Lieutenant Governor Mike Cooney is there. I just saw him in the
I think that's
background.
probably the best we can do, and just give it 10 minutes. If that's okay with you all. Sorry.
Sheila Hogan with the Department of Health and Human Services behind him there. Okay, let's take another look at the latest numbers in Montana. We stand at 46 this morning. That latest case out of Silverbow County reported just this morning. We get updated numbers around 4:30 this afternoon. So, of course, at 5:30 we will have the latest numbers. So far, 1,689 people have been tested here in Montana. Across the nation, so many more. 51,674 of those, more than 51,674 of those people have died. That's according to the Johns Hopkins Coronavirus Resource Center. Now, the World Health Organization said the pandemic is not showing signs of slowing down. Governor Steve Bullock is going to address Montana this afternoon. That was supposed to start at 5:30. Obviously, they're having some technical difficulties. Live TV, very fluid. Just like with the coronavirus, changes by the minute, the second. Now, we're going to get an update from Mitch Laggy here in just a moment. Q2 reporter Mitch Laggy on the City Council. And we're going to Governor Bullock.
I often say, and probably say too much, that this really is a dynamic and quickly evolving situation. Appreciate your commitment to providing Montanans with regular updates and top-of-the-hour news on COVID-19, and also know that all of you are working extremely hard. It's easy to get wrapped up in the numbers, and the numbers are indeed significant. Yesterday, for an example, we saw an increase of about 25% of our COVID-positive population in Montana. And while I wish it were otherwise, I certainly expect those numbers to be increasing as some community spread occurs and as further testing is done. That's reason for real concern. It's the actions that we're taking today and actions that businesses, individuals, and each of us take today and in the immediate future that will lessen the spread in Montana. If you look at the broader map of COVID-19 cases in the U.S., Montana still does have relatively some of the lower numbers in the nation. That certainly doesn't mean we shouldn't take this seriously or that we won't see the curve go up in Montana, but I think it also highlights that with a continued focus on working together as Montanans, we have the ability to continue to both mitigate and get out in front of this. And that's exactly what we're focused on doing. Now, I have to tell you, until about a week ago, the entirety of my understanding of the term social distancing was probably limited to the notion that my teenage kids aren't always that excited about hanging out with me when they're with friends or in public places. There are concepts that we are rapidly introducing throughout this pandemic that were foreign to most of us just a week ago. So as we learn those new terms, social distancing, what does that mean? That means stay at home if you can. Don't hang out in big groups. Stay 6 feet apart from others when you can. Don't go to the grocery store every single day. Plan ahead to limit your contact with others. And recognize, while the threat of coronavirus is greatest to those older Montanans and those that have medical conditions already, the obligation to control the spread is on each and every one of us each and every day. If you look at the positive cases to date in Montana, the average age is 46 years old. The ability to actually control the spread does rest with each and every one of us. And that also doesn't dismiss the fact that we do continue to see an increase in cases each day, and that is expected. But that also means social distancing is more important than ever. For every person who stays at home or avoids large crowds, the better our chances to fight this virus and protect our frontline healthcare workers and emergency responders. Montanans, as Montanans, we really do have an obligation to slow the spread of this virus. We're a place where neighbors talking to neighbors still matters, and our fellow Montanans can all continue to set a good example for each other in adhering to those social distancing directives and knowing that that will make a difference. Also, certainly have responsibilities as governor to ensure that we're taking the necessary measures at this time. That's why today I'll be extending the directives I've issued on school closures and on closures at dining restaurants, alcohol businesses, and other entities. The closures are in effect through April 10th, though they may be extended or shortened by further directive. School districts should follow the planning guidance provided in our March 19th directive to seek waivers of pupil instruction time and obtain continued state funding during this period. Well, neither of those directives expire until this Friday. I wanted to get it out for planning purposes long before. Some have asked, why don't I just close down the schools for the rest of the year? Or conversely, when I say 2 more weeks, am I confident that life will be back to normal in 2 weeks? I don't think it would be wise or serve the best interests of Montanans at this time to make decisions that'll have finality for what Montana might look like 8 or 10 weeks down the road. I mean, we're daily dealing with issues and challenges, and we're learning each and every day as well. Additionally, I'm taking my recommendations on limiting social gatherings and all gatherings further. Today, we're now issuing a directive prohibiting non-essential social and recreational gatherings of individuals outside of a home or place of residence of greater than 10 people if a distance of at least 6 feet between individuals cannot be maintained. The earlier directive said discouraging all social gatherings, particularly those of a certain number. This is a bit more restrictive, and we're asking Montanans to comply. At the same time that we're extending the closures, we're also preparing for the potential of an increase of patients at our hospitals. We're doing everything we can in our capacity as a state to prepare to take care of critically ill patients, as well as if we end up getting numerous COVID-19 positive patients in our hospitals, and ensure that there's hospital space and supplies to respond. The directive that I issued yesterday allows us to transfer patients back into their home communities or into a lower level setting as they heal, which could well free up hospital or isolation beds for those that need it most. It also temporarily waives some restrictions on paperwork needed to transfer patients back into their home communities or other hospital settings. Also streamlines the state's ability to order supplies and additional space that the normal state procurement process would slow down or stall. To put it simply, it allows both the state and our hospitals to act more quickly and efficiently. We continue to explore every avenue available to bring additional supplies to our state. This past weekend and earlier this week, we're distributing a Department of Public Health and Human Services supply and the first shipment of the Strategic National Stockpile to local hospitals, EMS units, and federally qualified health centers. Over the weekend, we also received an additional 50,000 masks through a mutual aid agreement that we have with our neighbor to the east, North Dakota, which will also be shipped to all jurisdictions and tribal nations across our state. And we do expect to receive additional PPE national stockpile resources later this week. Today at the state lab, we received 4,000 additional swabs for testing. We also received additional tests. know that in each of these areas, it's something that we're working on each and every day. The swabs is but one example, had been ordered from a private supplier, I think it was a week ago today. That order was canceled by the supplier based on demand and that the federal government needed the resources. I and some of my team had conversations with FEMA, HHS, even the Vice President's office to address the problem specifically of these supply constraints and just even centered around these swabs. And a week later that the swabs arrived. This is one of these situations that really does change day by day and even at times hour by hour. You know that we continue to work diligently here at the state, and not just at the state, but with individuals and businesses and providers in every community on this issue. But the reality really is that our supply capacity depends on either access to private suppliers, or when the private market is bottlenecked in part because of the federal government purchasing, the federal government then stepping up and honoring our requests for additional supplies. I'll continue to join the other governors in pushing for supplies and certainly won't stop fighting for Montana to receive what we need. I know that local governments are also working extremely hard to provide the services that Montanans expect during these times of closures. I'm also issuing a directive today suspending certain office hour requirements in state law to allow for limited closures where local governments can't safely operate within social distancing guidelines. The directive also allows local governments flexibility to set human resource policies that best support health-affected local government employees. I'm pleased that local governments know they can play a key role in slowing the virus and are taking these measures of trying to both contain and distance, that they're taking it seriously. Because we know that today's actions will keep the public and local government employees safe while also maintaining the local services that Montanans rely on. So thank you again. I'll now open it up for questions. If you'd like to ask a question, you can press 5*. You will be notified that your hand is raised. When we unmute your phone, you'll be notified that you've been called on to ask your question. If you've pressed 5* and you raise your hand but have already received an answer to that question, you can lower it by also pressing 5*. So with that, questions? Go ahead.
Governor, has there been any determination made on barbershops and salons, which are common places where people congregate, a lot of people travel through?
Yeah, you know, one of the things, and with these guidelines as well that we're placing into place, it's asking businesses that are still open to practice the procedures of social distancing, limit the number of individuals in your establishment, have them 6 feet apart, and we all have to do our part. I mean, practice those precautionary and safe social distancing, but recognize also that there are common misperceptions out there that if by order a business is closed, as an example, that there's some package of relief coming to them that people otherwise wouldn't get. So already strongly recommended not going to gatherings, encouraging Montanans to take it seriously, made the decision to close venues based on conversations with public health experts and industry organizations that have requested that. If you're an individual, like if you own a barber shop, if you're not comfortable with the social distancing that we're requesting and implementing right now, then by all means, every one of us have the obligation to do our part. Someone was unmuted on the phone.
That was me, Governor Bullock. Megan Lewis with ABC, Fox, KSTV. At what point, what will it take for you to initiate a shelter in place for the entire state?
Yeah, and Megan, really have taken necessary and aggressive action to prevent large crowds from gathering, to stress the importance of every Montanan taking this distancing seriously. And those are the measures we've taken so far. I know that Montanans, and I sure hope that Montanans are taking the importance of this, of avoiding large crowds, only going out for walks and to the grocery store or pharmacy. I certainly hope that they're taking it serious. If it's determined that other measures are needed to be taken to limit crowd gatherings, I'll take those into consideration, certainly. And as I've said, it's a rapidly and dynamic and evolving time, but let's all of us as Montanans make sure to do our part.
And Governor Steve Bullock from Helena live there today. Now, here are some of the key points the governor addressed this afternoon. He really stressed social distancing. He wants Montanans to understand it. He's saying stay at home, stay 6 feet apart. Do not go to the grocery store every day. We have an obligation to help slow this virus, the governor says, every one of us. And so he's asking for Montanans to set a good example. As for school closures, he did not make a decision on that. April 10th will continue with the school will be April 10th will continue to be the extended school will stay out of session until April 10th. He says he could be either lengthening that or even shortening that. We do have extended coverage continuing right now on our Q2 Facebook page. If you'd like to go there to to get further information from the governor. And we'll see you right back here tonight at 5:30. Please wash your hands, stay 6 feet apart, and stay safe.